Hello class, this is a continuation of the other video. So it's the persuasion versus argumentation, or you can just come right to this one and look at the ways to set up an argumentative essay. So let's take a look here. So there's model A, B, C, and D. I usually follow model A unless I have a lot of counter arguments that I want to include. But model A is intro, give the thesis, and then body paragraph 1, pro, 2, 3 are pro. Body paragraph 4 is where I would go into the counter argument and the refuting, and then the conclusion. So this is the most common, I think. And again, obviously, if you're writing a really long paper like your research essay, you'll have more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs. You'll probably have a lot more. And then model B, intro with the thesis. Then here you're starting with the counter. Then you go into the pro arguments and then the conclusion. Here you're mixing it up. Counter, refute, counter, refute, counter, refute. This one I would do if they really matched up well. The counter, then you refuted with the, which you'll see in the example I give here in a minute, and then model D. Again, these are just 4 different ways that you can set up your argumentative essay. And in my course, you will have to select a model, and it will have to be included in the heading, and then I'll show you that more when we go over to the individual essay prompts. So what I want to talk about right now is, remember, persuasion, you don't need to bring in the counter argument. However, for argumentation, you do. So here, counter and refute, counter, refute, counter, refute. How are we going to do that? So I'm going to show you how you would do a paragraph, how you would set it up. Make a copy of this and follow this. This will really help you. And for the discussion boards, you will have to follow this. But again, that will be in the prompt specifically. So let's take a look. So you want to introduce the opposing argument. Here are some ways that you can start it. Opposing views claim that. Part 2, you want to give evidence of the opposition. In the last video, I was using Maya Angelou versus Harper Lee. So here, if I'm using Maya Angelou as my pro and Harper Lee as my con, she's my opposing, I might want to say opposing views claim that Lee is a better author than blah, blah, blah. And then I want to give the evidence for why people would say Lee is stronger than Angelou, excuse me. And here's some phrases that you can use to help you start that part. Now remember here, listing the evidence, maybe you have 2 points you want to bring up that are supporting Lee. Then counter the argument. So if you're giving points here about Lee or the opposing view, you want to come back, you want to spin it, you want to refute. Bring it back to your side. Your side is the stronger side. And then you want to conclude that paragraph, and here's some keywords that you can use. So there are 4 parts, but let's go through an actual example here. So this is just for a paragraph. This isn't for the essay. It's just a paragraph out of an essay. So here I put my heading, the title. So part 1, the first thing you want to do is introduce the opposing argument. Opposing views may claim that Lee is a better author than Angelou. Good. I highlighted opposing views may claim because those are the key words that I took from part 1. Okay, opposing views claim. And you could use any of these, whatever flows more or whatever flows better with your writing style. Part 2, give evidence for the opposing views. So the opposing view claim that Lee is better. However, remember, I think Angelou is a better author. So here, admittedly, Lee has won more literary awards than Angelou. This is not true. I just made this up, okay? So admittedly, Lee has won more literary awards than Angelou. That is 1 point for Lee, okay? Now here, sometimes you have to concede. So let's say that, Lee did win more, and this isn't true. So you know what? She did win more literary awards than Angelou. Okay, so sometimes you have to concede that fact. Don't try to hide it. I went over this in the last video. Okay, because if you try to hide any evidence that will support the other side, the opposing, you will lose your credibility, your ethos as the writer, your ethos, whatever you want to say. All right, and then now that I gave the topic sentence, opposing views may claim. I listed the reasons or one piece of evidence why people would think Lee, the opposing, is stronger. Now I need to counter or spin it back to my side or refute. So here's what I would write. Clearly, Lee has won more literary awards than Angelou. However, I highlighted this because it's my keyword. Angelou has won the most highly coveted literary award. I don't know what it's called. I think it's like I can't remember, Milbury, something, I can't think of it right now. And Lee has not. So what I'm saying is Lee has won more, but then Angelou won the major award. Okay, and then the conclusion. Here's my conclusion. It is evident that Lee has won more literary awards than Angelou. Ultimately, the quality of Angelou's literary awards outweighs the quantity of Lee's literary awards, thus making Angelou as the better author, or thus marking Angelou as the better author. Hold on a minute. Thus marking, I don't have sorry guys. Thus, this marks Angelou as the better author. Because I don't have a verb here. So forget that. Thus, this marks will be my verb. Angelou is the better author. I'm going to have to change that. So if we look back, I highlighted thus and ultimately. If I look back at part 4, thus and ultimately are here. You don't need to use to. I did because it just flowed better with what I was writing. So this would be my paragraph on how to bring in the opposing and refute the opposing. Make a copy of this. Use this in other courses. If you're taking me in 201, you'll definitely use this. Okay, so make a copy of it. And then the works cited. And since I was comparing and contrasting and arguing about Angelou and Lee, I would put Angelou Maya, blah, 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 the author, the textbook, Lee, Harper, da, da, da. You'll follow works cited there by yourself. And notice here, I was only referring to Lee and Angelou by their last names. After you've given or introduced the author's full name in the introductory paragraph or somewhere in the essay, you don't need to refer to them as their full name again, okay, unless you had 2 authors with the last name of Lee, etc. All right, so here, a quick review. Here are 4 models of how to set up an argumentative essay. Here is how you can set up the counter argument and the refuting. Part 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, I used part 1, topic sentence. Part 2, gave the evidence for Lee, who is my opposing. 3, I countered her and spun it back to me, Angelou, my pro. And then I gave the conclusion. Notice that I highlighted the keywords in each section, which you will have to do for the discussion board prompts. And then the works cited, obviously. So again, use this and it will really help you. Okay, everybody, thank you.